What's up everybody? So today's video, the wrong bearings were used in the connecting rods, which is what the problem was. Let's just go ahead and go pick up those bearings. So also too, I got new rod bolts, connecting rod bolts, so we'll put those in too. So we got to drive about 30 minutes away and go pick up the right size bearings. This thing is so loud. It's cobalt. And it's loud. So picked up the new bearings. You guys will see that these are 0.25s, not the 0.025s, and I'll explain this in this video. And then I also got new connecting rod bolts. Definitely want to replace the bolts every time that you do connecting rods. So what we're going to do is go ahead and replace the bearing on the bottom right here of the connecting rod. We're going to then take this off, right? Push the piston up, go ahead and pull that out. So I'm going to do this one real quick so I can show you guys. So I got the first connecting rod out. So this is the bottom part of your rod, and then this is the rod cap. This bearing right here gets in there. You have a little groove on the top right here. So there's a little groove right here, little notch, and then you line up the bearing, you know, in there just like that. But there's a number stamped on the back of these, and this tells how thick this bearing is, because we're talking thousandths of an inch. You want oil to be able to come in here, but you don't want it enough to where it's going to spin. And so what was happening, you'll see right here, I have the 0.025 on this bearing when I need 0.25. And so that 0.25, it's basically just like a standard size bearing. You know, machine the crank and you take a tenth off, which is what happened in my case. You're gonna need a thicker bearing to go in right here to be able to make up for that difference. So there's also a difference between oversized and undersized bearings. So oversized, you want a thicker bearing in between your rod cap and the bearing. Undersized, you want it to be thicker in between the crank and the bearing. This right here is the inside, right? So it'd be considered under. This right here would be considered under. This is the underside, and this would be oversized. And so the difference is when you take material off the crank, and again guys, we're talking about thousandths of an inch, and so that's why this was loose. That's why I was able to shake it. So machine shop, they owned everything. They said they put the wrong bearings in. They did order the 0.25s, but we got 0.025s from where they ordered it. But they didn't double check it like they said they should have. So the next day aired these to me so that way I can put the new ones in. And then we should have zero issues with this car, and it should be absolutely running great. So guys, super roller coaster of emotions. I thought the engine was done, and then I did some more investigating, and turns out that the bearings were just incorrect on the connecting rod. I also pulled the main cap bearings as well, and those are okay. They're perfect. They're the 0.25s. So I was really worried that the main cap bearings were not going to be 0.25. I was worried they're going to be the same as the connecting rod bearings, and then if that would have been the case, I had to do the whole engine because the crank's right in the middle, and then you have bearings right on the top, and the only way to get to the top part of those bearings is to pull the motor. And so luckily underneath has those the cap that goes in there, the brace, and I was able to pull those out also and verify that it was 0.25. So best case scenario in this situation. And so this is what's been making that noise the whole time. We couldn't figure it out. Finally figured it out. The bearings were the incorrect size. Back and forth with the machine shop saying, yeah, we got our tolerances right and that kind of stuff. And so just super thankful I was able to figure this out. I had like 3 or 4 people helping me out trying to diagnose this, so I appreciate you guys for your help. But guys, it's time to put the new bearings in, and then we're going to fire this thing up, and it should sound perfect. We're going to go ahead, pop off all 6 of those rod caps. We're going to have to push the pistons up so that way we can get to the bearings on the top part of the rod, and then we'll swap these out, and we should be good to go. Okay, so old bearing, it's out. It says 0.025. right there. Here's the new one. You know, it's got a coating on it. You can see right there it says 0.25. But look at all the wear that it had just from not even really running the car that long. So you have the black coating on there, but I mean this thing it's got some scuff marks on there. And then also we're gonna put some engine assembly lube in here, put it on each side of the bearing, and then slide it in there, and it should be a nice perfect fit. So this is the engine assembly lube that I'm going to use. Again, it helps with just, you know, scoring and all that stuff, But on the initial first startup, this also helps to keep that lubricated. I mean, you can put oil and stuff on there, but on that initial startup, you want to prevent any, friction that can happen right away when you first hit that startup, waiting for the oil to kind of get through, which is why you prime the motor to begin with. But go ahead and put this on and slide it in. And then also your connecting rods should have a number. We stamped 1 through 6 on the side here, but you should have numbers here. You want to make sure you match the numbers to numbers because these are a perfect fit. And so if you have it swapped backwards, you could get a little bit of looseness in there, which then would throw everything else off. So very meticulous, you're talking thousandths of inch on everything. I'm also going to inspect the journals on the crank with a micrometer. So this is a micrometer. It measures the distance and it's all digital. And so I got these specs from the machine shop. It's like 1.878 inches is how big that journal is. I already measured cylinder 1 or journal 1. And it came out to like 1.878, 1.881, so it's very, very close tolerances. But because the bearings were ran incorrectly, I want to make sure that there wasn't some material that came off those journals. Hopefully all the material in the metal that we were finding was either residue left over from when it got bored out and machined, or just part of some of these bearings. So talking with the machine shop, we both feel confident that we caught this in time. Again, I'm going to take my time, re-inspect everything, because last thing I want to do is just throw new bearings in and then we have a problem 10,000 miles down the road. So we're going to double check everything, clean it all out, and go from there. So I'm going to measure this. I'll show you guys when I do that. Okay, so this is what I was talking about with the rod journal size. So you can see here it's 1.878. He took off 10 thousandths. And so what we're going to do is take the micrometer right here. You can see as I move it, it measures inches. What you do is you take this. Right here on this journal, I'm going to measure the thickness of it. All right, so I'm going to put a little bit of lube on each side, engine assembly lube. You don't need a lot, like so. You want to make sure that it's flush with either side of the cap. Also, don't want it too far either way. So there we go. I'm going to go ahead and repeat this process for all 6, and we'll just jump ahead. And then again, also I'm going to be replacing these bolts with these ones because I got some new ones. So that'll be nice. We should have 0 issues. And then for the RB, I torque these at 43 foot-pounds and get them all torqued and then good to go. All right, you guys, just finished doing all of that. It took me about probably 2 hours to do all that, so not too bad considering, but all the bearings are swapped out. So now what I need to do is I need to clean the oil pan. So I'm gonna go ahead and get all of this gasket maker off. I'll have to get all the gasket maker off the block where the pan was. So got the die grinder here, I'm gonna do all that. Also, clearances came out perfect. They were all within the 1.878 over here. So I got some 7.7, 7.9s, 8.1s. This 8.8 was a blip, so it's all 8.1, 7.9. So all of our journal sizes are good to go. And knowing that these correct bearings now that are in there, the car should run really great. So I'm gonna go ahead and clean off all of that gasket maker with the die grinder. We do have some more gasket maker here. I just use ultra gray. This stuff's really good, so use that. And then after that, you guys, I just gotta put the pan on and then put oil in it, which by the way, picked up some modal. So this stuff, you'll see when I open it up, it's all break-in motor oil. It's 10W40. So right here, break-in oil, 10W40. I got 12 quarts of that because what I'm going to be doing is putting, the initial oil in there, let it run for like 500 miles, drain that out, put new oil in again and all that. So getting the car tuned, I already made an appointment to go back to Dyno Comp. That is happening on December 30th. So a week from today, this thing's going to get tuned and it's going to be perfect. Gone through just about absolutely everything on this car, so it should be mint. But let's go ahead and just die grind off the oil pan right now, get all that gasket off, get it off the block, and then put this pan on. So finished up the bearings, got the pan on and all that stuff. It took me a little longer than I expected. But car's down, getting ready to put some oil in it. So as I told you, got modal break-in oil. So I'm going to use this for 500 miles. So I'm super pumped right now because all I got to do is put the oil in it and then we'll be able to fire it up. So 4.5 quarts I'll put in here. I think it calls for like 4.25 or something like that. But with all the extra oil lines and things, I don't want to have any low oil, and I can just double check it and make sure it's good. So I'm going to go ahead and fill this up with oil, and then I'll catch you guys in the morning. It's too late to fire up the car right now, unfortunately, and check it all out. But lucky you guys, so you get to fast forward like 12 hours. So I'll see you guys in 12 hours. All right, everyone, welcome back 12 hours later. So got the fuel pump fuse pulled. So we're going to prime it again like we did before. Make sure we get some good oil pressure built up. And then we'll fire this thing up, guys. I'm super pumped. Hopefully, it's been a roller coaster of emotions the last, like, I don't know, really a year, but the last few weeks, thinking that the motor was done and then I just needed bearings. And so here we go. Go ahead and prime it and then we'll fire it up. All right, guys, motor's all primed. Moment of truth. Here we go. Alright, you guys, so that's going to wrap up today's video. I'm super pumped. There's no noise now, and it all went away, which is awesome. It should have, right? Because incorrect bearings were in there. So I just got a couple of small oil leaks that I got to figure out on the pan when I put it back together. It's no big deal. So this thing's all good to go. It's going to get tuned in 6 days. So let me know down below what you guys think this thing is going to dyno at. It's just going to be a mild tune right now, and then we'll go ahead and bump it up after the break-in period. But super thankful that that's all done and it's fixed, and this thing sounds pretty good. Make sure, like, share, subscribe, all of that stuff. And just like that, Shane shows out. Peace.